Hello, and welcome to this video where I try to explain how the Demo Man's shield charge works. First things first, the map you'll see in the demonstration clips is called TR Walkway. It's a really useful map for training that I highly recommend. I'll include a link to the download page for those interested. So, the basics of charging. Currently, the only items that allow charging are the Splendid Screen and the Charge-in-Charge. The Splendid Screen has more of a focus on causing charging damage, whereas the Charge-in-Charge has more of a focus on protecting the wearer, with high resistances to fire and explosions, as well as granting immunity to afterburn. There are 3 stages to a charge which you progress through as the charge goes on. It begins at the green stage, then through to the yellow stage, and finally to the red stage. While charging, you move at 250% speed. Even if you aren't planning on using charging in combat, it's still a useful way to get around. While charging, your turning speed is slowed dramatically, but wearing Alibaba's wee booties, or the bootlegger, will double that slowed speed. If you attack with your melee weapon during a charge, the charge ends. However, you can attack with your primary weapon without ending a charge, probably because the charge doesn't benefit your primary weapons, only your melee weapons. On to attacking while charging. Making a melee attack while charging deals damage based on what stage the charge was at when you attacked. If you attack at the green stage, your weapon deals normal damage. At yellow stage, your weapon deals mini crit damage, and at red stage, it deals critical damage.
Me bottle of scrumpy!
Just remember, this only affects melee weapons. Colliding while charging. Another way of dealing damage from a charge is by colliding with an enemy. Unlike attacking while charging, the amount of damage caused by a collision isn't affected by what stage it occurred at, so a collision does the same amount of damage at green, yellow, or red stage. However, unlike the Splendid Screen, the Charge-in-Charge won't deal any collision damage if the collision happens during the green stage, only at yellow or red. The amount of heads collected from the Eyelander, or an equivalent head-taking item, has an effect on how much damage a collision causes, up to 5 heads. Here's a table I made to show the range of damages. Be aware that you might see some variance if you're playing on a server with damage spread enabled. Colliding with an enemy causes them to get knocked back. The amount of knockback is increased by how much damage the collision would cause. Higher damage means further knockback. The enemy will still get knocked back even if they resist the damage, for example if they're under the effects of a regular ubercharge. The heavy, as he is with some other types of knockback, isn't as affected by this type of knockback. Attacking after colliding. For a moment after colliding with an enemy, your melee weapon will deal critical damage. Because the requirement to gain this effect is just colliding with an enemy, this effect will still activate when colliding at the green stage while you're using a Charge-in-Charge, despite it not being able to cause collision damage at that distance. You also don't have to attack the enemy you collided with to get the critical melee strike. Out of all the ways of causing damage that have been listed, this is the most effective, because it combines collision damage with a critical melee hit. Charge jumping. Charge jumping is a jump you can do using a charge. It requires a steep slope, but is useful for getting around, seeing as you can't have a sticky launcher to sticky jump with when you have a shield equipped, and grenade jumping takes down quite a bit of health. The first thing you need is a somewhat steep slope to use as a ramp. You need to run towards the ramp, and before you touch it, you need to jump and charge simultaneously. Hopefully, you should slide up the ramp and launch off the end into the air. While in the air, you can cancel out the charge and still preserve your momentum by swinging your melee weapon in order to be able to use air control if you need it. Miscellaneous. A full charge lasts around 1.8 seconds. Having the Clave Maw in your loadout adds an extra 0.5 seconds onto the red stage, meaning the charge lasts for around 2.3 seconds. It normally takes around 12 seconds for the charge meter to refill completely. Having the Persian Persuader in your loadout halves the time to around 6 seconds. And that about wraps up this video. If you have any questions, or maybe you want to point out any mistakes I've made, feel free to leave a comment. Also, I'm open to suggestions for other explanation or tip videos if you need something explaining. Thanks for watching.